start, we know that we are starting at a time different than was allocated, but I can assure you that it will still be a worthwhile engagement. A warm welcome to the panel, a panel that is brought to you in collaboration between the Conversation Africa and SACO. And the title of this panel is Securing a Seat at the Table, How African Creatives Can Thrive in the Digital Era. I'm really looking forward to having an engagement. And, you know, moderating the panel for you this afternoon is yours truly, Zama Mkhosi. I am a 20-year media and entertainment lawyer that has been around for a while, and a creative industry advocate, have held various roles in the public sector as well as the private sector. Very much all of these roles positively impacting the growth and the development of the creative industries. I'm also a keen student of the integration of African firms into global value chains. So that is who is going to be moderating for you. And I hail from the township of Umlazi, south of Durban, KwaZulu-Natal. I grew up to the sounds of Istatamiya and Gampo dance from the nearby hostels, particularly Cleveland's hostel, to those that are listening, you know, those that may not be around. But to this day, as a result of hearing those sounds, I can still identify distinctly, you know, the sound of those, that Statamia sound and that Gambo dance sound, even if it's a hip hop song, even if it's an electric dance song, I can hear that sound still distinctly to this day. But what often fascinates me is how back Mlazi, and even Lady Smith, for that matter, the originators and the composers of those sounds probably do not know the extent, or let alone see the fruit of the benefit of how far they are, the impact of their creative works has traveled, and the influence that they have held in impacting genres of music and even other art forms all over the world. Now, digitization particularly, you know, during the pandemic times, we know that it is to be applauded and celebrated for really making it very easy and possible, because it broke down the means of content creation and the means of market access. However, all of these developments do not come without a cost. They do come at a cost, and the solutions are less than simple, because it is a complicated industry, as we have heard throughout the day. And to help us deliberate this afternoon on some of the realities of African creatives thriving in the digital era is my esteemed panel. Firstly, it's the Honorable Deputy Minister of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, Ms. Nocawe Mafu. And I have Dr. Akhona Ndzuta, who's a postdoctoral research fellow at the Chief Albert Luthuli Research Chair at UNISA. She researches the intersection of South African music, public policy, and cultural management. And online, I also have Prof. Ribio Nzeza. I trust that he has connected with us. He is a cultural economist who is a director of culture department at Senghor International University in Alexandria. And very much, Dr. Ndzuta, for that. Now, Professor Nzeza, I hope you can hear us. I would like to bring you in at this point, because we've said that we've heard in the panel that government is obviously a key enabler of the creative economy, as it is the case with other industries. And maybe bringing a bit of a regional perspective, what, in your view, would be the role of government? What should governments be doing really to enable the inclusivity and the sustainability of the CCIs in this digital era?
Thank you very much, Zama, for the question. I think the simple answer to that question would be that the government should devise a cultural policy that will tackle all the issues related to the culture, and maybe merely a cultural policy that will be more concentrated on the CCI sector. But it will be very nice to have a systemic point of view in the sense where the cultural sector should be in touch with other related sectors of the human life of the country or of the continent. I can give the example of the digital plan. Many countries in Africa have the digital plan. The digital plan is not related only to the cultural sector, but it's related to health, to education, to the economy, to security. And the government should work, or the ministry in charge of art and culture should work with other ministries, by example, the ministry in charge of ICT, to make sure that the digital plan that will be implemented will take into account other issues that would be beneficial to the cultural sector. That is the first idea, because we often observe a gap between the hard parts, the infrastructure, the backbone, the internet speed, with the content, because without the content, we will have nothing to be circulated through the network. On the other side, in that systemic perspective, the government should work, or the Ministry of Culture and Art should work also with the Ministry in charge of the economy, because we have also the digital economy. We have method of payment and other issues that should be also beneficial to the creative sector. So the Minister in charge of art and culture should not work separately from other components of the society. And the last point is to promote entrepreneurship, because most of the creatives are small and medium enterprises. They are freelancers, they work remotely, they have part-time jobs, and they are very vulnerable according to the shock. And the COVID-19 experience has shown us the setbacks of that situation. And the government should encourage or have regulation that will support the strengthening of capacities, of skills, to know how to navigate, how to work in the digital era, because the whole creative value chain has been transformed according to the digital. And the last point should be to support the financial institution that must provide financial services according to the nature of the work in the creative field.
Thank you so much. And I like that bringing in the whole value chain of the industry, and also not limiting it just to that industry. I think we've had other speakers talking about that as well earlier, the importance of the ecosystem that recognizes that there are other industries that also contribute to the creative industries, and therefore our solutions should be holistic. Hostel. Prof. Nzeza, what are these challenges? We've listed some of the challenges that are facing African practitioners across the continent. But if you look at those against perhaps other similar challenges across other regions, any thoughts around perhaps how they may have, those other countries may have approached them differently, which perhaps create something unique around solutions that can be found for these challenges?
I think the challenges are quite the same, even if they are at different rhythm or at different level. The first is, it has already been mentioned, but I would emphasize it's the digital skills. And digital skills not only in the creative process, but also in the management process, because the way we market the goods and the art services is very different in the digital era, and they need to know how to tackle those issues. We know that most of the time we used to separate the creative process to the management process, but now with the new tools offered by the digital environment, it's possible to combine the both skills. So a creator should know at the same time the process, the production process, but also somehow the basic knowledge of the the management process. The second challenge is related to the legal status. You know, most of them, they don't have a social recognition or a legal recognition that doesn't ease our operation, that it doesn't ease the way they work. That may be also explained by the fact that there is a general mindset where we don't understand really the nature of the work of the creative sector, the internal dynamics. So that there is something like a difficult dialogue between the private sector, the public sector, and also the civil society to work together in order to boost and to improve the work of artists. According to some example, I will pick some figures from a study on the COVID-19 society impact that I published 2 years ago in the Conversation Africa. We know that the informal sector is widespread in the creative sector. And according to the figures in Senegal, by example, from the available study at the time, it's 53% of level informality, while you have 80% in countries like Kenya, and 35 in South Africa, and 25% in Namibia. So the challenges are quite the same, but at different level. And the response from the government should maybe to help them to leave the informal sector and to get inside the formal sector, but also to be able to swim and to work with the informality, because the informality in the creative sector should not be considered all the time as a threat, but maybe something that can be very beneficial, and you may use it fruitfully.
Thank you so much, Prof, for that argument as well. Prof Nzeza, coming to you for a closing comment with the 120 seconds to go.
Thank you. Zama, I will quickly comment on the question related to the fact that the digital is something evolving. We are talking about an environment that may disappear tomorrow. I think it is part of the job. It's part of the game. The digital is evolving rapidly, speedily. That is a fact. That is a challenge. And also culture is also a challenge because it is characterized most of the time by risk, uncertainty, and intangibility. And to conclude, I will take an African perspective to say that the African Union framework on CCI has been revised, and it's time to move towards an intra-African trade of cultural goods and services to make alive the free continental trade area. I think it is a challenge for everybody, and the most advanced countries like South Africa should take the lead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you once again to everyone that joined in for this panel discussion. Thank you very much to my esteemed panel. Thank you to the supporters of this panel, SACO, as well as the Conversation Africa. For those that do not know, in fact, they may well be one of the key solutions to where to from here, because they keep the conversation going. They are a non-profit entity that really democratizes the engagement of news and articles that talk about the creative industries from a research point of view, but also at the same time making sure that they publish articles that are easy to read. So in that way, we bridge the gap between the very esteemed academics and all these learned people that are in the room today, as well as the practitioners, as well as every other citizen of our continent and the rest of the world, in making sure that they are informed with content that really is research-based but can make an impact into their industry. I thank you very much for your patience. Have a very good evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That brings to an end the talking. We are please encouraging you to go onto the deck. There is a